And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
Hello. Nice to see you. I want to talk about the receiving mode, receiving thoughts instead of just thinking them, and the ease of just receiving what's
So can
coming.
you hear that it's sort of like your real work is just to get ready for a thought.
Yes, exactly.
Just get ready for it. It's the preparation. Because once something gets rolling, the law of attraction kind of will take it until you get a chance to have a nap.
So I came on the cruise with the idea of doing sort of nothing or less than usual, not partying, not doing a bunch of excursions. And then...
So you came not intending to follow impulse. You came to make a decision in advance of how you were going to react to impulses. How did it work out?
Didn't work out well at all. I really have decided, like, okay.
In other words, we're talking about not thinking too much. You were trying to think in advance.
I was, thinking about trying not to come on the cruise and not think too much. But Friday night, right away, I just was sort of kind of wandering around, and I thought, let me just go see this guy talking about Alaska, even though I decided to come to Alaska and not see Alaska because I didn't want to spend my time doing that. So, and first I thought, this guy's a nutcase. And then I realized he was so lit up and passionate about what he was talking about, and it ignited that in me. And I thought, God, there's a lot of stuff. What am I doing in Alaska and deciding not to see Alaska?
Did he ignite it in you, or was there a vibration that was already active that rendezvoused with something that was going on there?
Right. And I think I just wasn't allowing myself to realize all these other things that are in my vortex that I'm not aware of.
That's really a good observation, isn't it?
That whole
so
idea.
Much potential to light up.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing where you've said there's all these ingredients in that you've been putting in over time that you're not even aware of, but then the cake that it creates is much more than what even the components were. So that sort of made me think, okay, well, at least, kind of think about that. So, but then in with the idea of not efforting, there's another thing I had sort of previous to that. I had decided that I was going to do a train excursion just because the client had
Before you go further, we want to throw something in here. Can you feel how, when you have this robust vortex, and you do, and you get in alignment with it, it takes much more effort not to follow the impulse than it does to follow the impulse. You just can't hold yourself back.
It's crazy. It's like dancing. Yeah. So I decided to do a train thing just because the client had said, you got to do this, and we gel. So and then I asked someone, for their advice, and Joe said, the seats are hard, and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to do the whole train thing. Anyway, so I'm just kind of letting that play out, and so I did some research, and I was looking at a very simple excursion because, again, I had decided I'm not going to do anything strenuous. I'm going to chill out. And I kept finding these reviews on this like big, intense hike and up to a glacier, blah, blah, blah. And I fought it. I'm like, I don't want to see this review. This is driving me crazy. And it kept coming up and kept coming up. And finally, I just gave into it. And I was like, this hike wants me. So it was, and it turned out, of course, to be like the most amazing hike of my life. So
this is the conversation we're having, isn't it? That if you'll give yourself over to your vortex, but before you can give yourself over to it, you have to know that it exists, you have to accept that it exists and that what's in it is a good thing, and then don't fight impulses. Do you think that the reason that you might be inclined to fight an impulse, because a lot of people are, is because you have followed impulses from this receiving mode rather than this receiving mode?
Yes.
So the first order of business is acknowledging that the vortex exists, and the next that it's full of wonderful things, and the next being able to discern how you feel We think this is a good conversation and maybe new words coined. Don't fight the impulse. Don't fight the impulse to fulfill your reason for being. You really can't buck this current of non-physical. Yeah.
No, you can. It's just more work all the way, though. I mean, clearly, I've done it, so.
It takes a lot of effort not to go along with your natural power and brilliance.
I'm really trying to understand, when you say ease, you mean ease. I don't, like, ease is supposed to be easy, and it's hard
Well,
for me
we're talking about going with the flow of your vibration. Someone watching you in sync with your source on the dance floor would not call that ease or anything close to it, because it looks as if there is a tremendous expenditure of energy. But when the energy that is expended is not greater than the energy that is flowing, then there's ease in that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's moving me.
The analogy that we've offered for years, we know you've heard it, is the airplane high in the sky. It's up there 30,000 feet, and it's going 500 or 600 miles an hour. And you look out the window, and it looks like ease. If it were on the ground at that speed, it wouldn't feel like ease, because the resistance of the ground would make it feel too fast. And so getting in sync with the flow of your energy is an individual thing. No one else can measure it or monitor it for you. Yeah. But you've said something and helped us to say something that we have not conversed about before. And that is, most humans work harder at not going with the flow of their impulses than they do when they actually go with the flow of their impulse. It's an important thing.
And it's easier to do here. I mean, even the thing that Charlene was talking about, the whale watching, after I got the impulse from, Mr. Ecstatic naturist, Charlene came up and was talking to you about the whales things, and that I got the impulse. I was like, just do whatever Charlene is doing. And even that, I was sort of like, okay, I have to rendezvous with Charlene. I have to find out what her excursion is and make sure I sign up for the right excursion. And so I took a nap. And I sat up in bed, and I was like, oh, I have to find out from Charlene. So I called her. She answered the phone. She signed me up. Like, as I was talking to her on the phone, she signed me up, and it was actually fun. Like, we were joking about her voice, and it sounded like phone sex, and it was fun. So, high five. But I mean, it was fun. It was more fun than effort to sign up for this incredible whale watch. So, I guess my question is, besides telling a funny story, is how do I continue to do that at home when it just doesn't feel as easy to tie in with that?
So what you're saying is, the faster the momentum is and the more in alignment I am with it, then the more easy it is for me to. And so this is the story of getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. Whether you acknowledge it or not, the fact that you were coming on the cruise, you were coming to Alaska, the way all of us feel about it, the way Source Energy feels about it, the way the naturalist feels about it. There's a lot of momentum that was already underway. And so do you think it's possible that you are tapping into a stronger energy flow than your thoughts have even deserved? This is an important question. This is the distinction that we're trying to explain to you about the way your vortex is. You can't comprehend what's in your vortex. You can't comprehend how long you've been contributing to it. You don't know the factor of what you put in it before you even got here in this physical body. You can't really evaluate clearly what your inner being's factor is in it. There's a leverage of that vortex that is very scantily understood by most of you. And that's why we say, when you just let yourself get in the vicinity of it, it will carry you to heights that will feel illogical to you, because the human mind's logic says, I have to have worked harder for it than I did. I didn't suffer enough for that. I didn't pay a big enough price for that. It's like finding the perfect house, the first one you go, and you say, can't buy that, it was too easy, can't be right. If this was this easy, if finding this lover was this easy, then there must be way better lovers, because you're not supposed to be able to find lovers or houses this easily. So I better say no. I better hold myself back from this flow, and I better go out and just suffer a little more until I've proved myself worthy of deserving this. That's sort of the backwards flawed thinking that so many are about. So your question was, how do I do it more where there's not so much obvious things that are ready to pop? By just getting familiar with what it feels like when energy flows, You know. Don't you know?
I do know when it feels really good, and so I guess I just have to keep practicing and allowing that and expecting that.
So if you are source energy, and you have extended yourself out here to this leading edge of thought, and if manifestation, like how you all see and hear and smell and taste and touch, is this leading edge that we're talking about, then isn't it logical that this is what you've come for? And isn't it logical then that the manifestation, this tactile, tangible stuff, isn't it logical that that would be the stuff most wanted? It is the stuff most wanted. But then you get on this spiritual quest and you talk yourself out of the tangible. And then there becomes a sort of war within you that I don't want to offer effort because Abraham says effort's not, and people say that I should be more spiritual, and tangible is sort of maybe not the best choice. And what we want you all to do is to stop making war with the inevitable, which is the manifestation, because this is what you came for. But where it gets wonky for you is that if the manifestation matters so much and you look at the what is and the what is isn't yet, then you get in that lackful mode where you don't allow the process of it to unfold, and then the journey isn't fun, and then you don't get what you want either, and then you say, oh, it must be wrong-headed to be looking for manifestations. Are you following us? And you sort of were doing that a little bit with saying, well, I don't want to work at this and I don't want to take action. I'm just going to lay around and let it come to me. And you did your best to lay around, and it did come to you, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think what I was picking up on is more, I don't want to, now I realize I was really pre-paving for just letting it happen and letting it be easy and not making it.
Did you find your button on your bed? It's as easy to create a castle as a button. It's as easy to create a castle as a button. And what that sentiment is about is that the universe is yielding anything to you that's in your vortex that you're allowing. So if there are buttons in there, the universe is yielding them. If there are whales in there, the universe is yielding them. If there are castles in there, if it's in your vortex, and if you've lived any life that's caused you to care about it at all, it's in there. And it's as easy for any of it to be lived by you as any of the other of it to be lived by you. But humans want to put an effort factor on it. And so what this conversation is about getting the effort factor out of the equation and the energy factor in. And when you're flowing with energy, there is no effort. And when you're not flowing with energy, that's where the effort comes in. Don't you think that's fascinating? All this effort that you've thought that you were applying in order to accomplish things, most of you have been offering the effort against your own self, against your own best resources, because you offer your effort to prove something that your energy stream isn't asking proof of. So it's tuning, not effort. And don't misunderstand action and effort and movement. In other words, there's a lot of action in alignment, but action from alignment doesn't feel like effort because there's no resistance in it. So effort and resistance are the same. And energy and effort are not the same. And alignment and energy are the same, but effort and alignment and energy, are you getting the sense of this?
The button's a perfect touchstone. Please thank Esther for me, because that was a great...
Well, it was a collaborative conversation. We've been talking about this for a long time. It is as easy to create a castle as a button, and most people don't see how that is. But you've got to step back from the details of how it comes about and accept that energetically, in fact, the things that you want the most, that you have worked hardest to believe you can't have, are the things that have the most energy going, and are the things that you really can have. So the things you think you for sure can't have are the things that would be the easiest for you to have if you just stop working so hard at not having them. And how is it that you work so hard at not having them? By taking score about what you have, by not understanding that it's energy, and it is. This was a good conversation, yes?